Ross Kaminsky Show. Now, Ross Kaminsky on Denver's talk station, 630 KHOW.
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm Ross. Thanks so much for starting your day and your week with me. We have a lot of stuff to do today, including in a moment, talking with Monument Mayor Don Wilson about his efforts to overturn the national popular vote. Well, I was going to say bill, but it's now a law. I'll get back to that in 1 second. Just a quick thing. I want to let you know some of the stuff we've got coming up today, in addition to the national popular vote mess from the Democrats. In the next hour, we're going to talk about Senate Bill 181, the attack on the oil and gas industry that Jared Polis says is just about safety, but I don't think anybody's buying that. And then in the 8 o'clock hour, at 8:05, we're going to talk with Congressman Chip Roy from Texas, who I've never spoken with before, who wrote a brilliant piece for The Federalist a few days back, talking about how Republicans need to be more fiscally responsible and start doing a better job bringing down our budget deficit so we stop, blowing up the national debt. We got lots of other issues to talk about, Judge Jeanine, Boeing, and all of that. But let's, one other thing. Today, sometime during the noon hour, I'm not sure exactly when, but during the noon hour, our time, I will have my first ever opportunity to be on Fox News on a weekday. I've been on weekends a fair number of times, but today I will be on the Daily Briefing with Dana Perino sometime during the noon hour, our time. Yeah, that's right. And in fact, unless there's some other, enormous news that kind of takes this story out, one of the things, at least, that I expect we're going to talk about, kind of what I pitched them on to get onto the show, was national popular vote here in Colorado. So we're going to talk about that. So, yeah, on Friday, I got a message that Jared Polis had signed the national popular vote bill into law. And I thought it was kind of interesting the way they did it late on a Friday, without any fanfare, without a photo of the governor signing that bill. As far as I know, I don't think they took one. I don't think there is a photo of the governor signing that bill, without having reporters in the room. And they did it the way that politicians often do things when they want to bury them in the news cycle because they're not that proud of them. And I asked Jared about it, and he basically repeated the same thing that he said on the air, which was one person, one vote. And we'll get into the details of that and why that's a very, not only is it a misleading argument, but in its own way, and I know this will sound odd to some people, the way the Democrats mean that argument is actually un-American. We already have one person, one vote. The question is how they want to actually restructure the election of the President of the United States. So joining me in studio right now, Monument Mayor Don Wilson, who along with his partner in crime, LPR grad Rose Puglisi from out there in Mesa County, are spearheading the effort to repeal the national popular vote. And I'm all in on this, and I'll have more information for you on how we can help financially as well. But joining me in studio, Don Wilson has some petitions right there that I'm real excited to sign. But good morning, and thanks for being here, and thanks already for your efforts, even though they've just begun.
Yes, thank you, Ross. It's great to be here, and yeah, we've had a great start already.
Tell me about, so this is a messaging campaign, right? From my point of view and from yours. For those people who listen to my show are very politically active, they're informed, they understand the issues. But if they're just talking to a friend who might not listen to my show or have a lot of other information, what are the best arguments that I and our friends and even the people who are gathering your petitions who might need to explain to someone why they should sign this? What are the best simple arguments against national popular vote?
The best simple arguments is it disenfranchises Colorado. Colorado is an independent state in the unit, and it should stay that way. We have 9 electoral votes. Looks like we might get another one after the census. If to say that every vote counts doesn't work when you're also saying that if this amount of people in other states vote this way, we're just going to change our votes. That completely takes away from the idea of our vote, every vote counting.
And I'd also add, and I have on the show before, the odds of the vote in Colorado determining the result in the country are so slim that, in my view, this national popular vote bill basically eliminates the need to have a presidential election in Colorado. The other thing, Don, that I cannot imagine how the Democrats will explain this. If you think about the popular vote and the national popular vote going one way and Colorado going the other way, these days it's actually easier to imagine the national popular vote going for a Republican and Colorado going for a Democrat than the other way around, right? Colorado's pretty blue of mood right now. It's kind of hard to see the country going for a Democrat and Colorado going for a Republican. So can you imagine being the Democrat who has to explain to the Democrats in Colorado, when Colorado was won by a Democrat, that all their votes are going to go to a Republican now?
That I'm sure that would stir quite the mess.
What do you think their motivation is?
I think a lot of it's just out of spite for the last election. They've tried to amend the Constitution before to do this national popular vote, and it's always failed. And so now Colorado, Polis, and the other Democrats in the legislature are trying to get around it. The whole concept is to do the runaround of the Constitution. If, like you had mentioned earlier, if they were proud of this, he would have signed the bill Monday with media in the room.
He could have signed it today.
He could have signed it today. Did a big press conference, but the idea is to do this without anybody noticing, without a whole lot of engagement, and that's what we want to do, is bring that engagement, bring the people to the ballot box saying, hey, this is what I think of it.
So I know you just kind of started on this, but I'm going to ask you to hone in a little more. Let's say you were standing in front of a King Soopers, collecting signatures, and I came up to you, not as me, but just a person you don't know, and you had 3 sentences to convince me to sign the petition, because otherwise I need to go buy a dozen eggs, and I don't have a lot of time. So I'm giving you 3 sentences. Give me your best 3 sentences that you're going to say to somebody you've never met to get them to sign that.
First of all, I'd say, why do you live in Colorado? You live in Colorado because you love Colorado. Colorado is, like I mentioned earlier, Colorado is an independent state in the Union. So there's a reason you live in Colorado, and it's not to give away your vote. The other thing I'd say is your vote counting, and this kind of part of the bad analogy club, your vote counting in a national popular vote is the same as saying your Powerball ticket has better odds than your local neighborhood drawing ticket. It's not true. The numbers just don't add up. You have a place like California, LA County, where their votes alone can nullify whatever all of Colorado votes for. So those 2 points, and just being disenfranchised. Do you really want to feel like your vote counts? Do you want to see that represented in Colorado's electoral votes, or do you not want to see it?
It's an especially shocking thing for a small or smallish state to do, because it really does kind of cede our votes to whatever the largest states want to do. Right now, by the way, there are 12 states plus the District of Columbia that have enacted this, and they have a total of 181 electoral votes. New Mexico and Delaware have both actually passed it through their legislatures and are sending it to their governors. So they're going to, I'm not sure how many more electoral, those are both very small states. I'm guessing they each have 3 or maybe 4 electoral votes. So that, anyway, they'll be sort of right around 190. They need 270 for this thing to come into force. So I think my listeners understand this, but the National Popular Vote Compact, you can join it. The states can join it whenever they want, but it doesn't actually come into force until they have enough states signed up that the total of the electoral votes in those states adds up to 270. In other words, enough to decide the election. I would also point out that if you look at the list of states, and I've mentioned this before a couple of days ago, I want you to listen to this list. California, now Colorado, Connecticut, D.C., Hawaii, Illinois, Massachusetts, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, and soon New Mexico and Delaware. Basically, what you're looking at is this list of deep blue states, right? I mean, the bluest of the blue. California, Connecticut, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Washington State, and now Colorado has become, I know it doesn't feel very swingy right now, but I still in my heart believe Colorado is a swing state. There's a reason that only the blue states are doing this. It is pure cynical politics because twice in the last 20 years, a Democrat won the national popular vote because they won California and lost the electoral vote. And so they just want to change the rules of the game. Don, I would love to sign that petition. What do we need to do here? And we're videoing all this, and it'll be up on the blog and Facebook in a little bit. Okay, so I've got the clipboard here, and it says I don't need to read all that stuff. It just says I can't sign the same petition twice, and I have to be a citizen of Colorado and registered to vote, and that's all true. Okay, the ballot title and submission clause is as follows. Shall the following act of the General Assembly be approved? An act concerning adoption of an agreement among the states to elect the President of the United States by national popular vote, being Senate Bill number 19-042, question mark.
So I wanted to clarify, because I heard it brought up on your show today, or the other day, we are going for no votes.
Right.
No, it should not be enacted, which works out great for us. I think it's clear. There was some confusion on that, and we've had a lot of discussion with others about that. But
right.
It is no, we do not want it enacted.
Right. And Caldera had brought that up. I know he's spoken to you since all that. And yeah, so for those of you just sort of new to the conversation, what Don's talking about is in some situations, depending on the question that's being asked, and if you're asking for a repeal, if you say, should such and such be repealed, you end up getting people, you want people to vote yes because they don't like the underlying law, where they would have voted no on the underlying law, and it can be confusing. This one, because of the kind of veto referendum it is, a no on the ballot will mean a no on the law. A yes on the ballot will mean a yes on the law, and so you don't have that kind of confusion. Okay, so I've got to put my name and address here. I'm really excited to be doing this. What do you think about, Don, what do you think about the challenge of getting enough signatures? And at the end, how many valid signatures will you need? And how many signatures will you attempt to collect in order to make sure that you end up with that number of valid signatures after the Secretary of State goes through everything?
So we're going to pursue 200,000 signatures. We only need 124,632, but we want to make sure that we are completely covered, and we want to make sure it's done in a timely fashion.
And how are you funding this?
We are hoping for donations. It's going to cost us $10,000 to $15,000 just to print the ballots.
Wow.
Or to print the petitions, and so far we've gotten great feedback. We're looking for more support. John Caldera set us up with Freedom Fi to help raise some of that money also. I'm not sure that's quite available yet. I know Rose did a video for it last week, and I'm not sure it's up yet, but yeah, we're looking for very grassroots, small donations, $25 here or there. I've started getting some some checks from all over the state, just, $25, $50, $100, and that's helping us get this going.
Well, and I'm going to have some information, and here you go. I've signed the petition. I guess I'm not your first signature, unfortunately, but I'm so proud to be signing that right now. I'm going to have some information for my listeners in the coming day or two about I'm trying to arrange a little matching program so that for every dollar a listener gives, more than $1 will actually go to the effort, with some of that coming out of my own pocket. I'm going to be committed for at least $1,000 myself, and maybe more. And I'm going to get some friends to do the same, and we're going to try to match listener donations at some level to encourage listeners to give as much as they can.
Thank you, Ross. We look forward to that, and like I said, every bit helps. This is going to be an expensive project, and we want to make sure that we get the petition signed and still have enough finances to help with the educational movement before the ballots hit the mail in 2020.
How can anybody volunteer to help you, and what do you need volunteers for? And we've got about a minute left.
So ColoradensVote.org, they can sign up there. They can sign up to carry petitions, to go to an event, to donate money. They can do it all right there. It's going to have a list of locations where you can pick up ballots. We'll even mail you, or pick up petitions. We'll even mail you petitions. That's the one-stop catch-all.
And so folks could volunteer to stand in front of their local King Soopers and collect signatures. You don't need a special license for that or anything?
No, you don't. And this is not a district petition, so we don't need a certain number from each district.
Oh, really?
We just need $200,000 signatures from the state.
Wow, that's really interesting. I did not know that difference. All right, Mayor Don Wilson of Monument, again, I appreciate your efforts. I'm going to help you every way I can, and let's see if we can get this terrible national popular vote anti-American mess overturned. So thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you, Ross.
When we come back, the recent crash of the Boeing 737 MAX is raising some kind of ugly issues regarding how the FAA certified the aircraft. Is it under regulation or over regulation or something else entirely? We'll do it next.